How would it feel to wake up one day and realize your entire life was built on a lie? For Jack Nicholson, that moment came at the height of his fame, when a phone call revealed a secret so shocking it could have destroyed him. But that's just one twist. From wild scandals in his love life to making Hollywood history, Nicholson's story is full of twists that feel too crazy to believe. And now, something new has come to light, something that changes everything. So let's get into the complete story. Jack Nicholson's life began under a cloud of secrets that would only come to light decades later. He was born on April 22, 1937, in Neptune City, New Jersey, to June Frances Nicholson, a 17-year-old aspiring actress. June's life at the time was complicated. Just 6 months before Jack's birth, she had married a man named Donald Furchillo, a showman who was already married to someone else, making their marriage invalid. The identity of Jack's biological father was never confirmed, though some believe it could have been Eddie King, June's manager. Despite Furchillo offering to take responsibility for the child, June's mother, Ethel May Rhodes, insisted on raising Jack herself. To protect the family's reputation, Ethel devised a plan. She raised Jack as her own son, pretending to be his mother, while June took on the role of his older sister. This lie became the foundation of Jack's childhood, and the family stuck to the story without fail. Ethel worked as a hairdresser and artist, while her husband, John Nicholson, earned a living dressing department store windows. They lived a modest life in Manasquan, New Jersey. Jack grew up thinking his family was typical, unaware of the hidden truths. In high school, he was known for his humor and charm, earning the title of class clown in 1954. The deception was so well kept that even during June's final days, when Jack visited her in the hospital while working on a film in Mexico, nothing was revealed. Her last words to him were, "Should I wait?" And he replied, "No," not realizing she was his mother, not his sister. June passed away in 1963, and Ethel in 1970, both taking the family's secret to their graves. The truth didn't surface until 1974, when Jack was 37 years old and a Hollywood star. A Time magazine researcher called him to verify details for a story about his film Chinatown. During the process, they discovered inconsistencies in Jack's birth records and informed him of the possibility that his sister was actually his mother. At first, Jack dismissed the claim, but curiosity drove him to call his brother-in-law, Shorty, for clarification. Hours later, Shorty called back to confirm the shocking truth, passing the phone to Jack's Aunt Lorraine, who tearfully admitted the family secret. Jack was stunned. By then, both June and Ethel were long gone, leaving him with answers but no one to ask further questions. Despite the revelation, Jack took the news with surprising calmness. In a 1995 interview, he said, "I'd say it was a pretty dramatic event, but it wasn't what I'd call traumatizing. If anything, it made quite a few things clearer to me." The timing of the discovery was almost poetic. It came just as Chinatown, a film centered on hidden family secrets, was about to premiere. Instead of feeling angry or betrayed, Jack admired Ethel and June's dedication to maintaining the facade. Apart from personal life, his acting journey was also fascinating. At 17, Jack Nicholson came to Los Angeles for what was meant to be a short vacation, but he ended up staying for good. His first job was in MGM's animation department, where he worked as a gopher, earning just $30 a week. While doing this, he joined the Players Ring Theater and started taking acting classes. It was there that he met Roger Corman, who would later become his mentor. Nicholson was determined to act, but it was tough going. Casting directors often turned him down, saying he looked too Hungarian or too Italian for leading roles. For nearly 10 years, he couldn't get a big break, and there were moments when he thought about giving up acting entirely. To stay in the industry, he began experimenting with screenwriting and directing. Roger Corman eventually gave Nicholson his first real opportunity, casting him in The Cry Baby Killer, 1958. Nicholson earned $500 for the lead role. It wasn't a huge success, but it started a decade-long collaboration with Corman. During this time, Nicholson worked on several low-budget films, including Little Shop of Horrors, 1960, where he played a quirky dental patient. He also wrote the script for The Trip, 1967, starring Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper. While these projects were modest, they helped Nicholson build connections that would later be crucial for his career. Nicholson often joked that Corman was the only person who who gave him work during those tough years. Nicholson's big break came in 1969 when Rip Torn left the film Easy Rider after an argument with Dennis Hopper. The role of George Hansen, an alcoholic lawyer, went to Nicholson, who had initially been involved with the film as a producer. Shot in just 15 days on a small budget of $400,000, the movie became a huge success, earning $60 million. Nicholson's performance won him his first Oscar nomination and made him a star almost overnight. Even during this time, Nicholson kept busy with other projects, co-producing the movie Head with Bob Rafelson. It was clear that his hard work was finally paying off. In 1970, Nicholson took on the role of Bobby Dupia in 5 Easy Pieces, a performance that cemented his reputation as a new kind of Hollywood star. Bobby was a man who had walked away from a life as a classical pianist to work on oil rigs, and Nicholson's portrayal was raw and compelling. The film included the now famous diner scene, where Bobby's attempt to order toast became one of cinema's most iconic moments. Critics loved the movie, which earned 4 Academy Award nominations and grossed $18.1 million on a $1.6 million budget. Nicholson received his first Best Actor Oscar nomination, and critics began comparing him to legends like Marlon Brando and James Dean. Roger Ebert even called it one of the best American films. By this point, Nicholson was no longer just a struggling actor. He had become one of Hollywood's most exciting new stars. Then came One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in 1975. The movie was filmed at the Oregon State Mental Hospital with real patients as extras, adding a haunting authenticity. Nicholson was so convincing in the role that even mental health professionals mistook him for a real patient during their visits. His portrayal earned him his first Oscar for Best Actor and helped the film achieve something almost unheard of. It won all 5 major Academy Awards: Best Picture, Director, Actor, Actress, and Screenplay. This feat had only been accomplished once before, by It Happened One Night in 1934. The film's impact was global. In Sweden, it stayed in theaters for 11 years, until 1987. Nicholson's intensity and dedication as an actor shone again in The Shining. His transformation into Jack Torrance was so powerful, it disturbed even the crew. Behind-the-scenes footage shows him working himself into a frenzy before the iconic "Here's Johnny" scene, bouncing up and down, clenching his fists, and muttering to himself to become the character. His portrayal was so unnerving that it took a toll on his co-star, Shelley Duvall, who experienced extreme stress during filming, even losing her hair. Nicholson's performance left an indelible mark on cinema, making Jack Torrance one of the most memorable characters in horror history. In 1989, Nicholson took a risk that turned into one of the smartest deals in Hollywood history. He agreed to play the Joker in Batman for a reduced salary of $6 million, well below his usual $10 million. But he negotiated a percentage of the box office and merchandise profits, a decision that earned him an astonishing $60 to $90 million. His portrayal redefined comic book villains, setting a standard that influenced future Jokers, including Mark Hamill and Heath Ledger. Moreover, Nicholson's career achievements are unparalleled. With 12 Academy Award nominations spanning 5 decades, he holds the record as the most nominated male actor in Oscar history. He won 3 Oscars. He's one of only 2 actors, alongside Michael Caine, to be nominated in every decade from the 1960s through the 2000s. Beyond Oscars, Nicholson won 14 major awards out of 40 nominations, including 6 Golden Globes, 3 BAFTAs, and even a Grammy for Best Children's Album. But even a man like Jack Nicholson had a love life that reads like a Hollywood scandal sheet. His only marriage was to Sandra Knight, lasting from 1962 to 1968. Jack's name was linked to countless women. He was rumored to have had over 2,000 romantic partners, a number he never denied. Instead, he casually said, "I don't count." His co-star, Kim Basinger, once called him the most highly sexed individual I have ever met, while Cher remarked, "Jack loves women more than any man I've ever known." Even Meryl Streep wasn't immune to his charm. During filming, Jack often suggested they rehearse lines over dinner, though she cleverly avoided his advances. But the relationship that truly shaped much of his life was with actress Anjelica Huston. It started in 1973 when they met at his Mulholland Drive home. She was 21 and he was 36. Despite their age gap, they quickly became close, but their time together was marked by Jack's constant infidelity. Anjelica often discovered signs of other women, like forgotten jewelry or hand cream. Once, she even saw her own jacket being worn by someone else on the street. She would sometimes wear the jewelry she found, hoping its owner would claim it, but no one ever did. Their relationship had its ups and downs, including a brief separation in 1976 when Anjelica had an affair with Ryan O'Neal. Jack, however, never seemed interested in marriage. When she once brought it up, he bluntly replied, "Marry you? Are you kidding?" Their relationship finally fell apart in 1989 when Jack invited Anjelica to dinner and confessed that Rebecca Broussard, his co-star from The Two Jakes, was pregnant. Days later, Anjelica read in Playboy about another of Jack's affairs. Furious, she went to a film set and physically confronted him, hitting him on the head and shoulders. Jack later laughed about it, despite the visible bruises. Broussard went on to have 2 children with Jack, but eventually left him after 5 years for a younger man. Jack later admitted that losing her was tough, saying, "You're left, you're abandoned, and you're not going to be over it for another year, whatever the fuck's you do." When it comes to children, Nicholson has 6 from different moments, but he only shares a special bond with his youngest son, Ray. Their relationship has always been close, shaped by simple but meaningful rituals like their daily dinners when Ray was a child. During these moments, Ray watched and learned from his father, absorbing Jack's personality and mannerisms. They've often been seen together at Lakers games, with their last public outing in May 2023. Jack admires Ray's determination, describing him as someone who sticks to his goals no matter what others say. Professionally, Ray has followed in Jack's footsteps, stepping into acting and even echoing his father's iconic grin in promotional materials for Smile 2. Jack's relationships with his other children have been more varied. His eldest daughter, Jennifer, born in 1963, has maintained a consistent connection with her father and has given him 2 grandsons, Sean and Duke Norfleet. Caleb Goddard, born in 1970 to Susan Anspach, had a more complicated start. Jack only legally acknowledged Caleb after some time. Honey Hallman, born in 1981 to Danish model Winnie Hallman, grew up in Denmark and had limited contact with Jack. Lorraine Nicholson, born in 1990, shares a closer relationship with him and has also ventured into acting. While Lorraine has described their conversations as top secret, it's clear Jack has been an influence in her life. However, not all of Jack's relationships with his children have been positive. The most painful story involves Tessa Gurin, born in 1994 to waitress Janine Gurin. While Jack financially supported her early education, he has never publicly acknowledged her as his daughter. In a 2024 interview, Tessa, now 30, opened up about her experience, saying she's never had a relationship with her father. She recalled her mother telling her to keep Jack's identity a secret, comparing her life to Orphan Annie's. As Tessa pursues her own acting career, she has spoken about the challenges of watching other Nepo babies succeed while she struggles to find her place. She described being called illegitimate as feeling like living in the 1500s, showing the emotional toll of Jack's decision to remain distant. Jack Nicholson's last movie was How Do You Know?, released in 2010. It was a romantic comedy, but it turned out to be a huge failure. The movie cost a massive $120 million to make, and Nicholson earned $12 million for his supporting role. The production had many problems, including reshooting both the beginning and the end, which made the budget even bigger. When it came out on December 17, 2010, it faced tough competition from movies like Tron Legacy and Yogi Bear. It only made $7.4 million in its opening weekend, placing 8th at the box office. Audiences didn't like it, giving it a bad cinema score of C-. The The movie eventually earned just $48.7 million worldwide, becoming one of Sony's biggest financial losses. The failure was so bad that Sony mentioned it in their financial reports, saying it caused them to lose $58 million. They even decided not to renew their deal with the director, James L. Brooks. In 2014, there was a chance for Nicholson to make a big comeback in the movie The Judge. He was offered the role of Judge Joseph Palmer, who is Robert Downey Jr.'s father in the film. The part was a perfect fit for Nicholson. It was about a strict judge facing cancer and murder charges. The studios really wanted him for it, but he eventually turned it down. The role went to Robert Duvall, who did so well that he got an Academy Award nomination. Nicholson also passed on other big roles, like in the movie 42, which went to Harrison Ford, and a film by his old director, Warren Beatty. Nicholson also considered returning to acting for an American remake of the German film Toni Erdmann. He loved the original movie so much that he convinced Paramount to buy the rights so he could star in it. The project had big names attached, including Kristen Wiig as his co-star and Adam McKay as producer. At one point, Bill Murray was considered for the role, but Nicholson's interest pushed him aside. However, after 18 months of planning, Nicholson decided to drop out. The project had to be reworked, and the director, Lisa Cholodenko, took over writing and directing duties. If Nicholson had stayed, this would have been his first movie since How Do You Know? Today, Nicholson lives a quiet life in his Beverly Hills mansion, a property he bought from Marlon Brando in 2005 for $5 million. The house is now worth much more and is part of Nicholson's $400 million real estate portfolio. It's filled with memorabilia from his legendary career, including original scripts and movie artwork. The mansion has become his private retreat, and even close friends rarely visit. Nicholson has chosen this quieter life intentionally. Record producer Lou Adler shared that Nicholson is living exactly how he wants to. He spends his time doing what makes him happy, eating what he likes, and enjoying his privacy. Despite rumors about his health, Bill O'Reilly, who met him recently, confirmed that Nicholson is still mentally sharp. He keeps up with current events, watches the news, and asks insightful questions. Nicholson doesn't appear in public much these days, but he made a rare appearance at a Lakers playoff game on April 28, 2023. The arena staff went out of their way to accommodate him. He was driven through a private ramp used by players and escorted through secret hallways to his courtside seat. When the crowd saw him on the big screen, they cheered loudly, especially when clips from The Shining played with his iconic "Here's Johnny" line. Even LeBron James came over to greet him, showing the deep respect and admiration Nicholson still commands. And it's because Nicholson is a big Lakers fan too. Over the past 53 years, Nicholson has been a constant courtside, watching the Lakers win 12 championships from his spot near the visitors' bench. His love for the team ran so deep that he adjusted his movie schedules to attend games. He even added special clauses in his contracts to make sure he wouldn't miss the Lakers' playoff runs. During the Showtime era in the 1980s, he was so committed that he missed only 16 home games in an entire decade. Nicholson became such a staple at games that the Lakers' public relations team included updates about him, called Jack Watch, in their pre-game notes for visiting media. Nicholson's courtside behavior made him part of the action, sometimes a little too much. He famously had a run-in with Portland Trail Blazers coach Jack Ramsey, who asked the NBA to stop Nicholson from sitting so close to the visitors' bench. Ramsey believed Nicholson was helping the Lakers by passing on coaching instructions. In another heated moment in the early 1980s, Bulls coach Dick Motta confronted Nicholson after the actor grabbed his leg during a game. Motta told him, "If you want to coach, buy your own team." Years later, during the 2006 playoffs, Suns star Steve Nash accused Nicholson of being so close to their team huddles that it seemed like he was trying to steal plays. One of Nicholson's signature quirks was his use of opera glasses at games, which started in 1975 after he got frustrated with referee calls. Referees were even warned about Nicholson and his glasses. He didn't just use them to watch the game, but also to make his point, sometimes glaring at refs after a call he didn't like. In a memorable moment in 1984, Nicholson followed a referee with his opera glasses for an entire quarter after a bad call, eventually leading the ref to break protocol and talk to him mid-game. Nicholson's Lakers streak was finally interrupted during the COVID-19 pandemic. After attending 2,263 consecutive home games, unless work got in the way, he couldn't be there to see the Lakers win the 2020 NBA championship in the bubble. This was the first time he missed witnessing a Lakers championship in person since 1972. His last game before the pandemic was on October 19, 2021, where he wore a mask while watching the Lakers lose to Golden State. Despite the break, Nicholson remains one of the most iconic fans in NBA history.